Hi. So welcome back to 31 Days to the Work You Love, and truly find the direction you want to go in creating your life and successfully pursue it with passion. All right, so this is workshop series and it's week 2. So this is the personality one. So discover your true personality. So this is the second of the 4 workshops. And my name is Lee Eichenbaum.
And I'm the handsome one, the taller one, Bernard Percy. Haha, my opinion, Lee.
And we are the 2 guys from Brooklyn.
From Brooklyn, New York.
New York. And we're going to get into the workshop right away here.
Okay.
All right, so the goal for this workshop is that you find your key personality traits, what is good and right about yourself, and these things will help you make your right career choice. So as you know, we have the 3 key success factors. It's the foundation. This is number 2. First was talent. Second is personality. All right, the objective is we want you to complete the exercises, because when you complete the exercises, you're going to understand yourself better. You'll have a stronger foundation, and that's what we want. The other thing is we want you to understand your talents and personality. That will provide you with the insights you're going to need to write your statement of purpose.
You know, one of the things that may happen, Lee, is as they write their talents and their personality traits, there'll be certain words or certain concepts that kind of keep coming up or keep repeating themselves. And by identifying those concepts or those words that seem to be repeating themselves, could be a clue into writing your statement of purpose.
Very well, very, very good point. All right, so we want to thank you. As you know, we are here for you. You're now part of our family. We want to hear your journey. We want to hear your successes. The journey is going to have some bumps in the road. That's any good journey will. So enjoy the ride. All right, and remember, everything turns out right in the end. If it isn't right,
it isn't the end. And, you know, we don't say you will always have these bumps in the road. It might be you'll be one of the few, and there are only a few, but some people have a smooth sailing to figure everything out. Others have little choppy waters, and sometimes people find kind of big waves. Whatever you have and whatever you're confronting, Lee and I are here and our team of people to help you get to where you want to be.
Okay. All right, so Bernard, you want to go over this, and then I will turn our beautiful faces off.
Great, okay. You see, you know, we developed a program called the Foundations of Brilliance, and Your Right Career is an offshoot of that basic fundamental program. And what we called it, the Foundations of Brilliance. See, to build a house or a building of some kind, you need a strong, strong foundation. And there are 3 corners to this foundation. One are your talents, another is your personality, and third, your purposes. And when you fully understand those 3 things about yourself, then you see how they align to each other. Now you've built your foundation. And so these 3 factors of talents, personality, and purposes must align, and you must fully understand that. Otherwise, your building will collapse. You know, our job isn't to help you build the house, to be honest with you. We're here to help you build the foundation on which to build the house. Okay, and so let's discover your personality today. We've already gone over talents, and then the next workshop will be about purposes. One of the things to emphasize is we're going to look at what is good and right about you. We don't want any negative comments. You know, I'm not good enough. I don't think I could really do it. It might be fun, but I don't know if I can make money on it. These are kind of the things that stop us, these negative comments and these negative thoughts. One of the things in delivering and doing the program is to only look at what's good and right about yourself. Well, I don't know if I'm good enough. I don't know if I can do it, and so on. No, only focus on what is good and right about you as we go over these things. And as we go over your personality traits, and here's the definition of personality, what is good and right about you in terms of these areas. Now, here's the definition of personality. And we'll go over the definition of these terms as we go through the workshop. The totality of your attitudes, interests, behavioral patterns, character, individuality, emotional responses, social roles, and passions that endure over long periods of time. And here's a photo of my family. That's my wife on the standing. Right below her is my wife's mother. To my wife's left shoulder is my middle daughter. To my wife's mother-in-law's right shoulder is my oldest. To the left is my middle daughter, and the bottom is my wife's sister. Carolyn's mom was 90 years old in that photo, still working 40 to 50 hours a week, full time at her job. She loved her job. Now, what she was, it was a funeral director. She owned a funeral home. But she's not dealing with dead bodies and people who are, and really handling that. But she's everybody's mom. And when you wanted somebody's shoulder to rest on, or somebody who could listen to you with care and empathy, that was the person to go to. Now, I couldn't do that job. I mean, I'll help my friends and family if they have a loss like that, but to do it every day, that's not my personality. I don't have that attitude. I don't have that behavioral pattern and so on. But my mother-in-law did. Okay. I've seen this photo, I don't know how many times, Lee, and I just love it. There's a young lady. How would you describe her personality based on that image, that look? To me, she's very determined, strong-willed. She's going to get it done. I mean, nothing's going to stop her. And then she's very proud of herself. And this next one, it's kind of a question I ask people. Would you let him be your dentist? Okay. We got some teeth. Let me see what I could do over here, right? This rebel, this adventurous kind of a spirit. And now the next photo is something I use when I do parenting seminars. And, and I ask parents, how do you know the real world of your child? What do they really believe or think about themselves? Do they look like a cat but think and know they're a lion? Or do they look and act like a lion but really believe they're a cat? We want you to know the real world of yourself in terms of your personality. Okay, Lee. I love this quote from Muhammad Ali. I am the greatest. I said that even before I knew I was. Truly a great, great man. See, and there's a concept that we want you to understand as we go through this program, and we've gone over this a few times, but it's worth repeating. No, yeah, buts. It's what I said just a few moments ago. We don't want you to look at your negatives and the things that are no good or the things that stop you or the disagreements. That's not going to help you. What's going to help you make the right career choice is looking at what's right about you, your strengths. Obviously, you're going to have to deal with different situations that you come to. But to make the right decision, the path that's the right one for you, we only want you to focus on what's good and right about you. And then you can look at where you could be the greatest, even before you knew you were. And when we talk about personality, we talk about what is it that makes you unique? And what I've observed, what Lee's observed, and other consultants that work with people and people doing this online program, is that when you understand your personality and you really understand these key things about yourself, it helps to increase your confidence, your competence, and your certainty about what's the right path to take. Okay, Lee, you want to define this?
All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to define the word attitude. So an attitude is a feeling or an opinion about something or someone or a way of behaving that is caused by this. So it's how you feel about something. Here's a quote from one of my favorite, he's a basketball coach, or he was.
Football.
Oh, sorry. Football. Ability is what you're capable of doing. Motivation determines what you do. Attitude determines how well you do it. So what we're going to be talking about here, we're going to do some exercises, is on attitude.
Right. Throughout the workshop, you're going to have a lot of exercises to do, because that's the way this works in terms of understanding your personality. So here's the first exercise that we want you to do. Let me explain this, because a lot of people have some confusions on this, and I want to make sure you don't. What are your most valued, important talents? See, you've just finished doing the talent seminar, talent workshop. Okay, and you have a list of your talents. Okay, you may have 10, 15, 20, 30. I don't know how many you have. Okay, what we want you to do on this part of the program is write out what are the most valued and important talents. See, now we're talking about your attitude about your talents. See, I know I'm a great dancer. You know, I just know that. I mean, I know I have a tremendous ability as a dancer, okay? But, you know, who cares? There's no importance to me. It's not of any value to me in terms of a career path at all. So I would not put this on the list of my most valued talents. But my ability to communicate, to establish close relationships with people is very, very important to me. And my talents that help me do that would definitely be on this list. So what I want you to do is take a look at your talent worksheets that you have from the previous seminars and look at the list of talents and pick out the 5 most valued or important talents. Just put a little star next to them, a little asterisk or something. And then I want you on a sheet of paper, write them down in the order of importance. What's your most valued or important talent? What's your second most valued and important talents? And what we've discovered is by understanding these most valued and important talents, it's a clue and a guideline to help you understand, well, what are those purposes that you really want to follow and pursue? And so what I'd like you to do now is pause the program and spend a few minutes to go over your talents worksheet and then put a star or some mark next to your talents that you feel are valuable or important to you, and then put them in the order of importance from 1 to 5. If you want to have 6 or 7, that's okay. If you have 4, that's okay also. If you want to reword some of your talents, that's fine. But what we want is this list where you know, these are my most valued, important talents, from 1 being the most valued of the most valued talents to 5, the least valued of your most valued talents. Okay, so do that now. Okay, welcome back. And I'd be very interested to find out what you've written down. I love this next quote. Attitudes are contagious. Is yours worth catching? And these 2 baby orangutans, man, it's impossible not to smile when you look at that. I'll bet just about all of you smiled, internally or externally, when you saw this photo of the 2 of them. See, what's your attitude about doing certain things and certain ways of applying your talents and certain activities? Is it, oh God, I got to do this again. Oh, I can't wait to do this. I love doing this, okay? And your attitude is contagious. Others will look at that and they go, wow, this person's attitude is something that I want to have. So what's the attitude that you have that you would like to be contagious to others? And your personality will help you find those. Now, this next one is a very important exercise. And I'm going to spend a minute or 2 explaining this because it's so key. And this particular exercise has helped many people determine what is the purpose for their career or education path. It's a key thing to help you. So let me explain this, and I'll spend a few minutes going over this in detail. What are some things you accomplished that you were very proud of? Perhaps it was a masterpiece, something so special that you might even get emotional when thinking about it. And what about those accomplishments was so important to you? So let me give you a personal example. And I'd like, if you could find masterpieces, that would be ideal. If you can't find them, well, what's something that you created or produced or accomplished that you're very proud of? See, as a teacher in New York City, I taught thousands and thousands of lessons. Some are great, some are okay, and some, not so good. But one true masterpiece as a teacher, okay, this happened in 1969. I could still tell you today what the clouds look like outside the window. I see my students, Bruce, where he's sitting, where Stacy's sitting. This is 1969. I hear the music I was playing in the room. I see the lighting that we created. It's such a special experience for me. It was a lesson on creative writing. And I told my class, for the next 25 minutes, you're no longer students. You're all going to become writers. I want you to find a place in this room, and I want you to start writing an essay on what does the word peace mean to you, P-E-A-C-E. And then I put on some beautiful music and had lighting from the fish tank that was really so aesthetic. And they started writing in their own space. And I remember sitting at my desk going, I love this. I mean, I got so emotional. This is perfect. They're all involved in doing this. Okay. And then after 25 minutes, I collected their papers. Then later that day, I read the papers and started crying. I literally started crying because every single student met or went beyond my expectation for what they could create. Every single student. So why was that a masterpiece? One, I had the talent to inspire my kids to create an environment where they felt safe enough to write, to create an environment that was good control where they would not disturb anyone, and other talents. Personality, see, I love the arts, and I know how important the arts are in the life of everyone. And the fact this was an exercise and activity in the area of the arts added significance. I would teach physical education, and I'd often get many students or, many situations where every student was involved in the activity, and that was great, and I loved it. But it didn't have the impact on me because I knew the value and the importance the arts have to me. And the fact this lesson was in the area of the arts made it so much more impactful. And third, it's, one of my purposes is to help raise people's emotional level and then inspire them to action. And my class was so inspired. Every single student. Now, they were sitting down quietly writing, but boy, were they inspired. You see, it was a beautiful alignment to my talent, my personality, and my purposes. So what I'd like you to do is take a moment and see if you can find that masterpiece. And if you can't find the masterpiece, something that you accomplished, you created, that you're very, very proud of. And write that down. And what was it about that was so valuable and important to you? Why did that have the impact that it had? So take a few minutes and see if you can come up with a masterpiece, which would be ideal. Or if not, something that you accomplished or something you created that was very deeply special, and you have an emotional impact when you think about it.
Okay, welcome back. All right, so now we're going to go over the next topic, which is interest. Now, interest is something or someone that captures your attention. We've all experienced the area of interest, things that you're interested in. There are people who are interested in music, the arts. Some people are interested in making money, some in businesses, some in sports. Whatever it is that you're interested in, this is what we're going to be talking about. So I'm going to read a quote by Henry Miller. Develop an interest in life as you see it. The people, things, literature, music, the world is so rich, simply throbbing with rich treasures, beautiful and interesting people. So for me, when I was, before I was married, I was very interested in sports. All the things, anything I could do with sports, I was interested in. I watched baseball, football, basketball, hockey. I just loved sports, very interested. Then when I got married, things changed because as you have a partner and you do things differently. So I started doing things like I learned about wine. I learned about food. I went to restaurants that I never would have even dreamed of going when I was single. And I became very interested in these things. And of course, I became very interested in my wife's interests and her life. Then we had our children, and I became extremely interested in children. In fact, Bernard, how I met Bernard, he doesn't remember me from it, but I was at a seminar and he was talking about children and how to find that world that they're interested in and how to develop and help them grow into individuals who are self-reliant. And I fell in love with Bernard at that moment. But for me, it was a real different kind of a thought pattern as far as how to raise a child. But I became very interested in children, and I started working with children. I opened up a free tutoring center in my community, and I helped a lot of children and a lot of students really succeed. And then I got interested in sports because my children got interested in sports. So we got interested in soccer. I became interested in coaching and now refereeing. And I've trained or coached or instructed well over 1,000 referees in Southern California. And it's a huge, strong interest to me. So what are your interests? What captures your imagination, your time? So I'm going to have Bernard go over another exercise for you.
I'm very interested in what I'm about to say, Lee.
Me too.
Okay. Here's a way of thinking about, how to look at your interests. So you go to some gathering of people, a party, an event of some kind, and there are three groups talking in three different corners of the room. You go by one group and you listen to what they're talking about. You go, nah, not something I'm really interested in. Nah, forget about it. You go to a second group. You go, yeah, I could have some interest in it. Yeah, I could talk about that. And then you go to that third group and you go, oh, this is my area of interest. This is what I want to communicate about. This is what I want to talk about. What is that third group talking about? Something that truly sparks your interest, that really focuses your attention. And you go, okay, this is something I want to know more about. I have things I can contribute to this. Okay. So what I'd like you to do is, next exercise, is just write out what is it that truly interests you the most. It could be a few things. Okay. But where are your interests? Because when you're doing things in life, when you're working at a job, don't you want to be interested in what you're doing, in the product and the results that you're getting? Yes. It's part of the foundation of choosing the right career. And so let's take a look at what really interests you. So spend a few minutes to do that, and we'll welcome you back when you're done with that.
All right. So now we're going to go on to behavioral patterns. So what are behavioral patterns? These are enduring ways of acting toward a given situation. So what we're talking about here is not just one reaction to one thing. We're talking about something that's lasting, something that has, a feeling or a way that you act given a certain situation that's been around for a while. So for example, this man right here, Bernard Percy, I've known him now for many years, 15 years probably. And for me, working with him is always a treasure. It's something I thoroughly enjoyed. It's a behavior pattern. I smile every time we hang up the phone. And we have a business, and sometimes things happen, but I still smile every single time that we work together. And that's a behavior pattern. It's how I feel towards Bernard. And it's also the foundations of brilliance and the right career, this program now that we're doing online. I have a lot of love for this program. I really enjoy the results that we get. It's interesting. Every single person's journey is different, and we learn more and more things.
Oh, thanks, Lee. I really appreciate that. Wow. And also when you think of behavioral patterns, like, let me tell you the difference between me and Lee. Okay.
There we go.
Lee could be, and I love it, very more direct than me. I'm more of a schmoozer. Where Lee will be very direct and say things in a nice way, but where he stands. Where I stand too, but I'll be maybe a little more delicate in the way I say it, right? Okay, than Lee will be, and he'll just be more direct. And some people, when you're with groups of friends, okay, what is the role that you play? Are you the leader? Are you the organizer? Are you the follower? Are you the person who tries to bring people together? What's your behavioral pattern when you're with groups? I'm somebody who likes to help raise people's quote level of happiness, finding some humorous thing, or help to get people to communicate with each other, somehow organizing them in a way that makes them feel better or happier being where they're being. Other people are the leaders. Okay, here's what we're going to do, and let's get it done right now.
That's exactly what I do. When I walk into a new space, the first thing I think of is what's wrong and how can I fix it.
Different. We're going to go over that in a moment, Lee, but that's good. Hold on to that. Okay, yeah. Cool. And so what are your behavioral patterns? I mean, I know that if you want a drill sergeant to help handle people, don't hire me. That's not the way I'll get it done. I'll have a different way. I'll try to get agreement and find different ways of looking at things. When I was a teacher, I have a one-sentence statement for my class and how I worked with them. My class knew when I was Bernie, and they knew when I was Mr. Percy. You see, they knew when they could be my friend, and they knew when I was the one in charge and do what Mr. Percy says. You see, but I relish and love the freedom that my students have and allow them so much freedom that every other kid in school got, I wish I had Mr. Percy for a teacher. See, that was a behavioral pattern. And that's what you want, is a career path that allows you to align your behavioral pattern to the work that you're doing. So just take a few moments and think about what's that behavioral pattern somebody might say about you. Oh, here comes blank. The blank is your name. What can they expect when they see you? Will they see a hug? Will they see kind of a sneer? Will they see somebody who's going to welcome them, or somebody indifferent to them, and so on? So take a moment and write down what's your behavioral patterns.
All right, so now we're going to go on to character. So character is a particular combination of things about a person that make that person different from others. We're talking about what makes you unique. Describing the nature of a person, the sum total of his or her moral and ethical qualities. So these are, I always look at these as adjectives, things that describe us. So here's a quote by Dennis Prager. Goodness is about character, integrity, honesty, kindness, generosity, moral courage, and the like. More than anything else, it is about how we treat other people. So, Bernard, take us through the next exercise.
Okay. Take a look at this list. And these are lists of different character traits, perhaps even virtues, things that, qualities of good human conduct. So take a look at these, and I want you to do two things. First, I want you to determine I'm only do one thing. Forget the second thing. I want you to look at which of these character traits you feel most strongly reflect who you are. That's a very important part of who you are, and that people know when they see you, they can expect this character trait to emanate coming from you. Okay. So just take a look at this list, and just kind of look at which one you feel are the ones that best reflect your personality.
Also, there might be others that aren't on this list. So is there something else, some other positive character that you have that should be on the list? And of course, include that.
You know what's missing from this list for me, Lee?
Hugs.
What do you think I would add to this list? See how well you know me.
Humor.
That's true, but that's not what I was thinking of. But I would put that on there.
Okay.
It's like admiration. I'm always looking to admire others. People know when they see me, I'm not going to look at, oh, this is bad. Well, look at how negative comment. No. I'm going to find something I sincerely and honestly admire about someone, and I'm going to let them know what I admire about them. I tell that to Lee every time we talk. He amazes me with his awareness and understanding. This program that he's really helped create, this online program. I mean, he shows such a level of brilliance in what he's doing. And I always let him know, honestly, how much I admire what he's done. But that's one of my personality traits. It's a willingness to admire others and let them know what it is that I admire. What would you put down, Lee, that maybe is missing from here?
Well, I mean, for me, it would be, I wrote those. So those pretty much cover it for me. But I'd have to take a second to look at it myself. But I appreciate what you said, Bernard. And it is true. He always finds, he's very similar to my wife. They always find things that they can admire about people. And, it's something that, personally, that's something that I'm going to work on myself more of.
Great.
All right. So take some time and, like I said, add anything else that's not on this list. All right. We're going to continue with individuality. So this is a particular or aggregate, meaning you're combining multiple things. So it's a particular quality or a combination of qualities that distinguishes one person from another. So again, what we're looking at here is your uniqueness. Here's a quote from Grace Jones. I believe in individuality, that everybody is special and it's up to them to find that quality and let it live.
Now, here's an exercise, and Lee kind of alluded to it a few moments ago, and I said we're going to cover this in an upcoming slide. And again, this is an important clue that helps people know what it is that they should do for their career path. Let me explain this. So when you enter a new space or location, what do you tend to focus your attention on? I mean, not all the time, but is there something that you tend to look at? Some come in, they immediately start looking for the beauty of the space, how aesthetic is it, and what can they do to help beautify it? Others may look at how well organized it is and what can be done to organize it better. Others, how can I make people happier? That kind of aligns with me. I mean, I come into a group and I look at people and individuals. I'm not so much interested in the physical appearance of the place as I am at the appearance of how people are interacting with each other. And I say, well, what can I do to maybe make somebody be a little bit happier, more on communication or something like that? When I was in Minsk, in Belarus, this one man says he looks to see how well protected the environment is. And his purpose then later on, when he looked at his purpose, had to do with helping to create a safe environment for people that's well protected.
Interesting.
So there are clues that you can get from understanding what is it that you tend to put your interest on. It's like you focus your attention on. Okay. And by the way, I should mention that each of these things aren't like isolated in their own silos, their own area. They all kind of combine or interact with each other. So an interest is like an attitude or a behavioral pattern and things like that. So they're not isolated factors, individual, it's separated from everything else. So take a moment. And what is it that you tend to put your attention on when you come to a new location or a new space?
All right, on to emotional. So emotional is connected with or showing feelings. So obvious emotions, love, happiness, enthusiasm, action, and then boredom and conservative. All of those are emotions. So this is from Apollo Ono. This is a world record holder a speed skater. Phenomenal if you had a chance to watch him in the Olympics. Anyway, here's his quote. I am emotional. I want to win. I am a competitor. I have that fire. But deep down, I truly enjoy the art of competing so much more than the result. And that's one thing I loved about him. When he won, it was awesome. But when he came in second or third, he loved the whole competition. He would go over and talk with the other skaters and congratulate them with true congratulations of like, man, that was a great event. That was a great journey. And I appreciate how great you were in this thing. And I love that about him. Anything you want to say about emotion before we go to the exercise? Oh, I'm sorry. We have another slide. So now we have the response. So this is emotional response. So something said or done as a reaction to something that has been said or done. So this is your response to something. This is by a quote by Verdi. I adore art. When I'm alone with my notes, my heart pounds and the tears stream from my eyes. And my emotion and my joys are too much to bear. I mean, look at that from an emotional response, just from art. It's an amazing thing. And art is an amazing thing. I love going to museums. And when I was working with my daughter, she was very young and she really didn't get the idea of why we went to museums. And I asked her, we were in one of the halls, I think it was a Renaissance hall. And I asked her, what's the feeling you get from that painting? And she said, sadness. And I said, people have been getting that emotion or some emotional response similar to that for hundreds of years from that painting. And that's what the artist is communicating. They're communicating something that for themselves and for others to share their emotional response.
When I was in college, we had a required course, the classics, reading the Odyssey, the Iliad, books like that, right? Which I had absolutely no interest in. I'd be out in the street playing ball and looking at a great interest in sports. But read the classics, forget about it. But it was a required course and I had to take it. The teacher was, and I still remember so well, Renee Lockman, who every year that I was in college was voted the top teacher in Brooklyn College.
Wow.
It was a very, actually, it really was one of the highest rated colleges in the country in terms of the student body and the population of the students and the success of the students. When she started reading the classics, I came into the room, all right, this is going to be boring, But she would read a passage from one of the books and she would start crying. And she was so moved by it. Even now, as I tell you this, I'm getting an emotional response.
Wow.
I mean, she loved it so much. It had such an impact when she read it. You couldn't help but get interested. Her attitude was contagious. Hers was worth catching, which goes back to a previous slide. And so when you look at your emotional response to things, that's part of your personality trait. And my response when I see little kids or young children, I just love it. I want to pick them up and hug them, and I want to do things with them, and I want to find ways to really inspire them. It's part of who I am. And so what we're looking at is, what are these things that bring that positive, strong emotional response to you? So what do you truly love? Yeah, this is okay. This is nice. And you can answer anything. It could be something you love to do, or you love to be, you love to have, and, love to create with. What do you truly love? Okay. And I know Lee and I are going to agree on this. Okay. We both truly love our family. We are family men. I've written 8 books on relationships and education. But, what I tell people is I'll never say I'm the best dad in the world. I would never say that, Lee.
I
And
know.
no one better. Now, you may be as good as me, and you are, Lee. I'll tell you, one of the few people I've seen, I would admit, are as good as me, okay? But, you know, you won't be better. See, and I truly love being a dad, and being a dad was my hobby. And my professional career was aligned around helping children in many ways as a teacher, helping parents to become better parents. You see, what I truly loved became a foundation of my professional career and the decisions I made about what I wanted to do. The books I wrote were mainly about relationships because it has such importance to me. I truly love that. So what is it that you truly love? You know, if you put it down, it could be anything you want to put down is a correct answer. I truly love driving my car. I truly love being with my children. I truly love helping make people happy. Whatever you truly love, and we have 5. If you want to put more than 5, feel free to do that.
All right, continuing with social roles. So these are positions that someone has in a situation or a purpose they have in a situation, in an organization, in society, or in a relationship. So it's very interesting because when we speak about work, people think of, well, I'm an engineer, or I am a doctor, or I am a teacher, and their entire world is consumed with this social role. And when I'm delivering the program, I'm interested in all your social roles. So for example, I'm a friend, okay? I'm an engineer. I am a father, a husband. I am a referee. I'm an instructor. I'm all of these things. And each one of these areas gives you a clue to who you are, as well as what your interests are, so that you can really know who you are from this part of the program. So I'm going to read a quote from Ken Robinson. The role of a creative leader is not to have all the ideas, it's to create a culture where everyone can have ideas and feel that they're valued.
You know, Lee, we talked earlier about behavioral patterns, and they said, what's your behavioral pattern when you were with a group, whether you were a child or an adult?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's also related to social role. You know, as I said, these things are not isolated in silos of their own. They're all interconnected. So what is that social role that you tend to play? You know, and then some people, again, are the organizers, some of the leaders get things started, some of the followers who really help make things happen. So social role is an important thing to look at and understand about yourself. And it's a clue because when you are at a job and you're figuring out your career path or educational path, you know, what is it that aligns to your personality? And one thing to look at, what's that social role you prefer to play, you prefer to do? And a good definition is, what do you bring to a group? Okay. You know, I don't think we have a formal exercise on this one,
Yeah,
but what is it that you would bring to a group? You know, when you show up, what are they going to know? Okay. Now, here's an exercise that we want you to do. And let me explain this. Are you a pioneer or a settler or a combination of both? This is an important thing to think of about yourself. So a pioneer is somebody who's willing to start or create something where nothing exists. A settler is someone who will help build and create what the pioneer has started. You see, there's a third category here, which I haven't printed out here. We say a combination of both. Yeah, you could be a pioneer, you could start things, but you can also help build and make it more successful. To be blunt and honest, I'm much more of a pioneer than a settler. And Lee can testify to that, okay?
that's
Okay.
for sure.
Don't agree too strongly, but I love to start things and get things going and creating. And in some ways, I think Lee's, you know, certainly a pioneer as well in various areas, but he's a bit stronger than me in being a settler to help organize things, getting things done, okay? And he's a combination of both. Now, of course, I could be a settler as well, but I don't love doing the settler activities as much as I love being the pioneer to create new things and get things started and get things going. And this is important to know about yourself. Because are you willing, if a pioneer, you'd be willing to start new activities, new enterprises, create new things and opportunities for yourself and others. If you're a settler, you go, well, no, that's not quite what I want to do. I want to find somebody who is a pioneer and really help them build what they're building to become more successful. So what are you? Are you a pioneer? Just a simple question to answer. Are you a settler or are you a combination of both?
All right, moving on to passion. This for me is the big one. This is the one I love the most. What are you passionate about? So this is something that you are strongly interested, and I mean, you're talking fixed interest. This is something that you cannot get enough of. and enjoy, and an intense desire for something. So for me, passion has a lot to do with this personality. It tells so much. It's such a great clue to find, you know, who you are and who others are. What are they passionate about? You know, when I work with people, whether it's in the soccer community or in Foundations of Brilliance, the one thing I love is asking people, you know, what are you passionate about? What are you interested in? Because I tell you, you see the light in their eyes, and their whole body position changes when they start telling you about something. And that is a sign of a really good communicator, someone that can ask a question and then listen and truly acknowledge the person. I was at a luncheon or a dinner actually a couple of weeks ago, and it was a whole mess of people through my wife's company, and we were talking about things that we were passionate about. We talked about, some people were very passionate about food. One of them was a marathon runner, and she was going to China actually to run in a marathon, which was fascinating to me. These are the kind of things that people, they love to talk about. And wouldn't it be great to actually have the passion for what you're doing in your career? So here's a quote: passion is energy. This is from Oprah Winfrey. Passion is energy. Feel the power that comes from focusing on what excites you.
You know, Lee, it may be that people come to this program because they don't feel any passion. You know, there's nothing they really feel that strong passion for, because, you know, knowing that can often be a great clue to help you make a decision on the career path. So as you're trying to answer this next exercise, okay, what is an area where if you don't have the passion right now, is there some time as a child, or is there something earlier on in your life that you really did have a passion for, that you just couldn't wait to become involved in it, or read certain kind of books, or get involved with certain kinds of activities? Okay. And so what were you strongly interested in as a youth or as a child? Ideally, you have passions today. Okay. As I mentioned earlier, my passion is to really help create a wonderful family life for people. And I love doing that. And I travel the world, and it's not always easy with the schedule that you have when you're going on a plane. And I've, you know, traveled 2.5 million miles probably over the last 10 years. It's not easy, but I have a passion for helping them. And so it becomes very easy when I'm communicating, even though flying there is not the ideal thing. So look for those areas of passion, and ideally you have them today. And Lee has another quote he wants to share with you.
This is a quote that I recently found that I really do. I'm very passionate about it. Many people find their passion later in life, and others never find it at all. And for some, their greatest passion is the search itself. But whether you found your calling or if you're still searching, passion should be the fire that drives your life's work. That's from Michael Dell and of Dell Computers.
Okay, so what are you passionate about? And then as you begin to understand your talents, and then you understand your purposes, and you know this area of passion, how do you align with your passion, with your talent, with the purpose, you know, the things that you really want to accomplish, the reason why you do things? See, so this is an important activity. And if you find, you know, that's a problem, I'm just not passionate about anything right now. Well, take a look when you were younger. At some point in your life, were there some things that you were truly passionate about? And boy, wouldn't it be wonderful to work at something that you're passionate about? Oh, boy, I tell you, it makes such a difference in terms of the quality of your life to really align what you're doing to your passion. And Lee Eichenbaum, my partner, is a man of passion for what he's doing and helping kids. And he gets very strong and emotional about it. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't hide his passion for what he's doing, which is one of the things I respect and admire about him. So what are you passionate about? Take a few moments and write that down.
Okay. So now we're going to go over endure, and this is the last of the part of the personality quote that we gave you in the very beginning. So to endure is to last or persist over time. So this is something that is been around, you know, like Bernard had just mentioned, childhood. You know, a lot of people, as he said, are not very, you know, passionate maybe right now. Maybe you're in your 40s and your 50s and you've worked for 20, 30 years and it's just a job. You know, maybe there's no passion there anymore, but maybe you're looking at recreating yourself, or maybe you're looking at the, you know, the next phase of life. You know, Bernard always talks about recreating his environment and his world every 5 years. Is that right? 5?
5 to 7.
Okay. And that's something that, what we're looking at here is what is enduring. So what is lasted for a long period of time? Let's look at our childhood. Let's look at our teenage years. Let's look at our college years if you went to college. What has been around for quite a while. So here's a quote from Christopher Reeve, who is Superman. I loved him as an actor. And here we go. I think a hero is an ordinary individual who finds strength to persevere and endure in spite of overwhelming obstacles. And it's one thing I love Christopher Reeve. And one of the things that I love about this program is, and I don't tell this to everybody, but I'm looking and hoping that we find lots of heroes, that people find their passion, find their three key success factors, and become heroes in this world, because we need more heroes.
That's great, Lee. And you mentioned one of my characteristics that endures is I find that every 5 to 7 years, ever since I left teaching in 1976, I left being a classroom teacher. Every 5 to 7 years, I find I have to recreate my life in some way because I want that challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in some ways, I wish I had a different viewpoint. It would have been quote unquote easier.
Uh-huh.
Just to have one thing and become really super expert at it and just build on that. And some people love to do that. Maybe that's more of a settler viewpoint. I have that pioneer viewpoint, which is, okay, well, all right, I've done that. I've met that challenge, time for the next one. And sometimes, it's not that easy. Somebody who did this program had this quote. She said, as a result of this program, she thanked us for helping to change her life. She said, you didn't make it easier. In fact, you made it more difficult, but much more interesting. See? And what endures for me to make my life more interesting is this challenge of creating, a new activity or building on something in a new way. So the online program that you're on now is our next challenge in building the foundations of brilliance. For years, we've been doing individual consultations and seminars and workshops live, but we decided now's the time to put something online. And this is our challenge, to get this right. And that's what we're working at doing. And so what endures is your personality. And just as a review, here's some of the things about personality: behavioral patterns, social roles, and other individual traits that endure over long periods of time. I showed you a picture of my mother-in-law when she was 90, who's this warm, kind, generous woman. It's always been who she is. And my wife and I have been together 45 years. I've never known her not to be kind and generous and filled with humor and understanding for others. That's a personality trait that endures over periods of time. So, a very simple question that can give you a great clue as to the direction to take your career. When I was doing individual consultations, I just kind of threw this question out one day to somebody. And I was amazed at how the response to this question, which I'm about to tell you, and you can see it on the screen, how it really isolated some key things about the person that helped them then make a decision. What's the path I really want to take? And help them understand the career or educational purpose they really want to pursue. So, what are your favorite movies and why? Okay. I know my favorite movie, to be honest, is The Sound of Music. I've seen it maybe 20, 25 times. It's about family. It's about creating, it's about children. It's about helping children really do better in life and other things that just align to my personality and to my purpose of helping to inspire people to action. Okay. And so I love that movie. And there are others as well. And Lee, do you have a particular favorite movie?
Oh yeah, I'm going to give you 3 areas, but one is Remember the Titans. And first of all, I love Denzel Washington. That's one. But 2, that movie moves me every time. It has everything in there. It has the conflict of a football match. It has coaching. It has the whole area on that particular timeline. You're talking about a lot of racial tension. It is a brilliant movie. To me, every single leader in this world should watch that movie. So for me, that's why. That's my why. My next one is It's a Wonderful Life. And I love that movie because in the character in it basically says, hey, I'm not really of any value to this world, okay? And the world would be better off without me. And he gets to look through an angel what his life what life would have been like without him. And tremendously moving movie for me. I love it, absolutely love it. The last area I love is time travel. I love science fiction. I love Battlestar Galactica. I love Interstellar. And for me, it's just exercises the mind. You know, it's the imagination and the creativity and what happens if there is another timeline and what would it be like? And it's fascinating to me. So those are all of my favorite movies, and it does tell you there is a clue in there as to your personality. For me, it's, you know, heavy interest in creativity, a very, very, you know, moral and ethical qualities with regard to, you know, Remember the Titans, and also the love and the effects that we create in the world, and what would the world be like without us?
Wow, well said, Lee. See, you know, it'll strike up a passion in you, and it gives you clues to think with. What is it about it that made it so special to you, that movie that you're thinking of? So let me add one thing before we go over the summary.
Okay.
So now you've written down many things about your personality. Okay, we've gone over different points of it. And maybe you can start to see some patterns or certain things that kind of seem to be repeating themselves. And maybe there are certain words that you keep using or concepts that keep coming up. And then you go, yeah, I keep seeing that about myself. Oh, look at that. It's interesting, that thing that keeps coming up. So as you have your patterns of personality, you know, those are the things that you want to think with when you think about, well, what's the right career path for me? And what's that wording for that statement of what my purpose, my career or educational purposes? The clues may reside in the wording and the concepts you came up with, the talents and personality. Okay, Lee.
All right, so now we're on the summary. All right, so what we want to see, and you can always go back and you can always review sections of the actual workshop. Did you find your key personality traits? You know, it's one of the 3 pillars, and we need to make sure that you have that. Also, did you find some things that are good and right about yourself? Do you feel better about yourself? Do you feel like, you know, a higher level of worth, you know, self-respect? That's a real key thing. Yeah.
I was just saying, you know, this is an enhancement for people. It's not, you probably were aware of a lot of these things earlier, but just kind of writing them down and seeing them in a new time frame and really can enhance your understanding and belief in yourself, you know, and raise your competence and confidence and so on. So we hope you have a better understanding of yourself, because you already did have an understanding, and I know you identified these before you've done this activity, but we hope you have a certain new level of understanding about yourself.
All right, good. So do you understand your personality better, as Bernard was just saying? This is your talents, this and your talents. So personality and your talents will provide insights into writing the statement of purpose, which we talked about and is our next workshop. All right, so this is a quote, and this sums up the whole subject we're talking about. Be yourself, everyone else is taken. All right. So here's what we got to do next. Oh, there you go. All right, so you click on the link below, and now we have a questionnaire. And thank you for all of the people who've completed the questionnaire. It really helps us to do the session for question and answers. So complete any questions you may have. It could be about the previous section. It could be about talents, personality, but complete the questionnaire, and then in a couple of days, we will have the question and answer session. All right, until then, this is Lee Eichenbaum saying goodbye.
And you know what?
Yeah.
Everything turns out right in the end, Lee.
Yep.
And if it isn't right,
it isn't the end.
We'll see you again very shortly. Bye.
Bye.